From Trimble Construction, you're listening to the Connected Construction Show, where we connect you to the contractors, owners, designers, engineers, and construction professionals who are finding better ways to work. And now, here's your host, Matt Sprague.
Hello and welcome to the Connected Construction Show. Welcome back for many of you, and for the first timers, welcome to the first time for listening or watching the show. We're super excited to have you tuning in. We're also really super excited to have our guests and our co-hosts. I forgot to mention who I am. My name is Matt Sprague. I'm your host for the show. And this week we have Marlise Mooijekind, returning co-host, a product manager at Trimble MEP. Marlise, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And we are both super excited to have a very special guest here this week. We have Ruth King. So when you go to LinkedIn, Ruth has a lot of different titles. It's quite fun to actually go through. I highly recommend everybody give it a shot. But one of my favorites is obviously a profit and wealth guru and CEO, and also an author of several books. We'll explore some of those titles of those books and the companies that she's been involved in this episode. Ruth, welcome so much to the show.
Thanks, Matt. I'm thrilled to be here.
So to kick us off, just like every show, we gotta get to know the guest that's on with us, that's in the chair. So Ruth, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do, what your passions are regarding the construction industry.
I started in the construction industry in 1987, so a long, long time ago. And I have been working with contractors and helping them by giving them the tools and processes to get and stay profitable, build wealth, achieve the goals they want to achieve. And my push is to give back once you've achieved them. And so a lot of them are now donating to a lot of really cool charities, which is fun because we made it. And the key is now give back so other people can make it too. As you mentioned, Matt, I am the author of 5 books. My 6th book is coming out next spring. And most of them revolve around the financial side of business, the courage to be profitable, profit or wealth. The book that's coming out next spring is 101 Dumb Financial Mistakes Business Owners Make. So it's really about making sure that you look at profit and loss statements and look at them and be able to make sure, number 1, that they're accurate, number 2, they're timely, and number 3, you can make great business decisions from accurate financial data. So that's a little bit about what I do.
So Ruth, you have your own website called Ruth King, HVAC.com. Why HVAC?
Well, that's where I started. Actually, if you just go to ruthking.info, it's the overview. I mean, it will go to the Ruth King HVAC. I started in HVAC. That's where I got started in this industry. I had a friend who was working for Service America, which was a franchisor of heating and air conditioning companies back in the 80s. And I found a niche, and I absolutely loved it. I had gone back to school, got an MBA in finance. My bachelor's and master's degrees are in chemical engineering, which totally prepares you to do work in this industry. But the thing is, when I went back and got my MBA, I found out I was really, really good at numbers. I mean, not that I wasn't as a chemie, because you have to be, but in terms of looking at the financial data and really having the ability to explain it in English, simply because, most of the people who are in construction do not start the business to do the financial side of their business. They do it only when they get in trouble. They can't pay a bill, a GC goes bankrupt on them. I mean, there's so many things that happen. Then all of a sudden, I better pay attention to financials. I better pay attention to cash. And that's when it really and truly does start for most. I mean, there are some who are smart enough to go, hey, I better understand the financial side as I'm starting this, but they're few.
Yeah, it's either they either need to figure it out themselves, or they hire someone who can do it for them. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll dig a bit more into that later in the show. But I think that's kind of a big part of, you do what you do and I'll do what I do, and but it's important to make sure that no matter what business you're running, in this case construction, to have a much more holistic understanding of what it is that you do, so that you can maximize the benefits of that business.
Profitability.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what areas, from your experiences, what areas do most contractors need help with? So what are the most common problems that you're helping contractors with?
One of the first things that I do is make sure that they understand that the most important thing they do every day is to maximize billable hours. I'm not talking necessarily about the GCs, but mainly the subs, because the GCs oversee everything and their billable hours. I mean, they've basically done, okay, you're getting X number of dollars to do this, you're getting Y number of dollars to do that. But the subs themselves, like the plumbing, the electrical, the roofing, the drywall, the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, the most important thing that they do every single day is maximize billable hours. Because if you look at it, if you're sitting on an airplane like I do a lot of the times, and let's say you went on vacation and there was an empty seat next to you or behind you or across from you, whatever, the airline company lost revenue because they didn't fill that seat, and they can't fill that seat again. It's gone. It's over. So that, or a hotel room, or things like that. Labor is perishable. You have 8 hours a day for your employees. They give you 8 hours a day, sometimes 9 or 10 if it's overtime. But that's it. You can't use, one of those 8 hours tomorrow. It's gone. So your responsibility as an owner, as a manager, is to maximize the billable hours that you have for all of your workers every single day. And they don't think about it. They think, okay, I got to get them out. I got to get dollars in the door. I've got to do da-da-da-da-da. But they don't think about maximizing billable hours. That is the most critical thing that they do.
So you have, I was listening to another show that you were on, and you had talked about, I can't remember exactly. And I don't know how long ago this show was either, but it's like you have done work in, I think it was 49 of the 50 states or something along those lines. So I guess question number one, have you made it to all 50 now?
No, I'm still waiting to go to North Dakota. So
North Dakota.
Listening, do you want to have me come to North Dakota? Come on.
But there was a caveat to that, if I remember right. It was but not in the winter.
January, February, yeah.
But out of all those experiences, are there contractors that you've worked with that kind of stand out in terms of like they had a really unique situation, or a really interesting story that you were able to kind of uncover for them?
I think it's more of geography than necessarily a story like that. I mean, Alaska is very different. I mean, they don't have roads. They have airplanes. Everybody's got a runway as a driveway. So, I mean, things that we can, make the assumptions that we can just drive down the road to go to a customer or go to a job site, they can't do. They got to fly. So their cost structures are really, really different than ours because, airplane fuel is even more expensive than truck fuel. So, yeah, it's different up there. It's really different up there. I loved it, but it's different.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So you're saying, hey, most important is to make billable hours. To get there, is that the same for each contractor, for each business?
Everybody who has field labor has to maximize billable hours. And then step 2 of that is, what is your net profit per billable hour? So, for example, if I send a guy out to a job site and he's there for 1 hour, how much profit drops to the bottom line? So for every billable hour, how much profit you're actually earning. And hopefully it's positive, it's not negative.
So I'd like to explore something. So
Okay.
This is one of your books, the difference between profit and wealth. So the actual name of the book, here I'll plug you, is Profit and Wealth: Simple Rules for Sustainable Business Growth. But what I gained from the little bit that I explored into that book is that there is a difference between both. So how does that translate into the contractor or the subcontractor industry?
All right, so it doesn't matter whether it's contractor or subcontractor. First of all, you have to be profitable. And I'm talking about business wealth here. I'm not talking about personal wealth that you inherit or anything else like that. I'm talking about the wealth that you generate as a result of your business. So you have to have profitable business first. And there's the whole subsection about making sure that you're profitable. And then what you do is you transform that profitable business into wealth. It can be done by buying business assets. It can be done by an increasing customer base who is loyal. A lot of times we have maintenance or recurring revenue or things like that. GCs don't generally have that, but a lot of the subs actually do. So it really depends upon the type of construction business that you have, but you can always figure out some way to do recurring revenue. And building wealth is building your customer base because it's really an intangible asset, but it's really important. And it's also building the asset side, which is the wealth side. So P&L is profit, balance sheet is wealth. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
I read something interesting on your website, Ruth. It was saying growth masks unprofitability.
Yes.
Could you explain that?
Okay. I'm going to do it with a story, if that's okay. So I started working with a contractor. He and a partner started a business by themselves, grew it to $2 million in 12 years. They never looked at a P&L. They never looked at a balance sheet. All they did was if they had cash in their pockets, they could pay their bills, they could do payroll, they could take their discounts. They were happy campers. So as the business continued to grow, it was fine because the money from the end of one project started the next. Money from that project ending started the next. And as long as the number of projects was increasing, you never saw it. Well, they hit about $2 million and growth stopped. And it didn't take like instantaneously, but within a couple of months, they were having problems paying their payroll every once in a while. They couldn't take their discounts every once in a while. They're going, wait a minute, time out here. We've been profitable. They thought profitable for 12 years. We've never had a problem with money. What's going on? Long story short, they were losing a nickel that they took in the door for 12 years. Couldn't see it because the growth masks the unprofitability. The cash from one job started the next, and as long as the jobs were increasing, then you were fine. And we could do it from something that's not outside our industry. When Jeff Bezos started Amazon, his thing was net cash per hour. He knew that as long as his cash flow was increasing, profitability did not matter. And it's the same story, except it's huge. It's in a really big environment instead of a small business environment. And, at some point in time, it turned over to profitability. It has to at some point. But he knew that as long as his cash flow continued to increase, and it continued to increase, then profitability didn't matter in the beginning. Had cash flow stopped increasing, he would have tanked. So that's a way to look at it.
I see this a lot, and I made reference to it earlier on in the show that you do what I do, or I'll do what I do, and you do what you do, and we'll all be happy. That's true to some degree in terms of like if you have somebody you can really trust. Right. So if they're,
Quotes, please.
Trust in quotes. So there's value in you having a greater understanding. Have you experienced that with some of your customers where that's kind of bit them in the tuchus a little bit?
Yeah. Called embezzlement, theft of materials. So the reality is any business owner, I don't care whether you're the owner of a multi-billion-dollar company or an owner of a $100,000 company, you can never abdicate the financial side of your business. You can delegate the day-to-day, but it's your name on the door, your responsibility. And so you always have to understand what a P&L is, what a balance sheet is, what all the ratios mean, and look at it so that to make sure that the company is headed in the right direction. You can trust your bookkeeper, which I put in quotes again, up to a certain point. And then you still have to review financial statements. I don't care how big or how small your business is, you have to review financial statements. I suggest a monthly communications meeting with the managers for all the different departments. A lot of GCs have project meetings, where they bring in all the subs and they bring in everybody so that everybody's on the same page to make sure that the project finishes in the amount of time that it's supposed to finish with any problems that are coming up and things like that. So it's not only the financial side, but it's once you have the management team, there is a weekly communications meeting that is there by everybody. It does not matter if you're going to be on vacation, you send your numbers in ahead or you send a substitute. Those meetings are like critical. So there you get to trust. There you get to find out what's going on from an overview perspective, and never, never, never give up, abdicate the financial responsibility. So yeah, you can trust a little.
Trust a little.
Yeah.
Well, I see other, friends, family that are involved in businesses and things like that have been, maybe around for like 60, 70 years. And they get caught into it's the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
So I mean, is that also, it's not necessarily a trust thing. It's, dare I say, an ignorance thing, ignorance is bliss type of scenario.
I see that a lot in companies where it's second, third, fourth generation. Grandpa always did it this way, or dad always did it this way. And until dad's out of the business, it doesn't change. Well, the reality is that technology has taken over our businesses, whether we like it or not, don't like it or not. If Grandpa's still using a slide rule, which he very well might be, we're in trouble. Grandpa won't use a computer, we're in trouble. So in those particular cases, it is quote unquote the dinosaur. But if the kids actually get in, they're trained right to be able to do the management pieces of it well, and they're looking outside the industry specifically for some of the latest technology that's coming out, they will actually do really well with the businesses. But technology is an integral part of what we do now. It wasn't 30 years ago. I mean, we're still doing stuff on paper. Good grief. Not anymore.
You'd be surprised, Ruth, that
I promise you I'm not.
Well, even on the owner side of the business. So, I my experience is dealing with the owner, operator, maintainer side of things. And, you still, one of our products is, a project management tool. Mm-hmm. And, there are competitors out there. There are plenty of fantastic tools that do this, but still the number one competitor is, it's not paper, it's Excel. I equate Excel to paper, right? It's just a digital paper. And it's in many ways, it's not like scary in that like the building's going to fall apart, but it's scary to being like how much money is wasted when you're not leveraging technology, to the extent that you can.
When I was in high school, I was still using a slide rule. And then by the time I hit graduate school, I needed one of those programmable calculators, which with the strips that HP used to have. So basically in 6 years, we went from slide rule to calculator. And it was amazing. My daughter was about 9 and she looked at my slide rule downstairs in my desk and she goes, "Mommy, what's this?" And I said, "Something you'll never, ever have to use." And then I explained how to use a slide rule. She goes, "No, thanks." We don't do that anymore.
No.
Thankfully.
So Ruth, do you think that is also one of the main problems, that businesses don't want to use new technology? That they're quite conservative?
I think they looked at things like it was the old way of doing things. All right. It's not only the technology side, it's the people side too, because when I was growing up in the 90s, I was already working in the 90s, but you worked until it was done. Overtime was never questioned. With the labor force that's around now, they don't want to work overtime. They want to work maybe not even 40 hours a week. So, I mean, we have two issues right now. We have the technology issue and we have the labor force issue, which is hard because if you've always done it the old way, dad doesn't understand why the kids today, quote unquote kids, even if they're 30, don't want to do the overtime. That's just not their thing. Well, we always did it. Why shouldn't you do it? Well, guess what? The world has changed.
Yeah. So Ruth, you've done so many things. You were even called a serial entrepreneur, having started and run 8 businesses since 1981. So what's next for you?
Actually, it's with artificial intelligence, believe it or not. I'm taking a lot of the financial data that I'm using, and we're doing financial health checkups. And so, once it's all programmed and everything like that, you'll be able to enter your data and get spit out reports about where your business is going, which is kind of cool. So
that is a really
next. That's number 9. How's that?
That's number 9. It's a small one. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
So, and you can feel free to tell me, no, we're not allowed to disclose any of information yet, but you mentioned you have a 6th book coming out in the spring. What was the name of it again?
101 Dumb Mistakes. 101 Dumb Financial Mistakes Business Owners Make.
So are you able to share a couple? What are a couple of the dumb ones? I love hearing dumb stories.
Yeah, well, we actually talked about 2 of them as I was telling some of the stories. This may or may not be for your audience, but number 1 in the book is that profit is not a dirty word. You have to have profit unless you want to go out of business. So profit, number 1, and then we do stuff in terms of negative loan balances on balance sheets, negative payroll taxes, negative cash, gross margins that are negative. I mean, a lot of it is it's all financial, obviously. But a lot of it has to do with it's broken down into pricing. It's broken down once pricing, then we have general pricing, P&L, balance sheet, and embezzlement. Things to do so that you don't get stolen from.
Don't go to jail.
Yeah. I mean, I had one contractor who said we knew his margins really well. We knew his job cost really well, and the first month, job cost was a little high, margin was a little low, and 1 month, no big deal, because it could, at the end of the month, something could have happened. So second month, same thing's going on, and we know the numbers. We know job costs. And I said, this is not making sense. Do you have, are you watching what's going on in the warehouse? And he goes, I've got cameras watching. Okay. Third month, it happens again. Somebody's stealing from you. No, they're not. We have cameras. Long story short, the only place in the entire warehouse where there was not a camera was by the back door. So they would take line sets and all other pieces of copper, put it by the back door, at night come in, get it, leave. $250,000 in copper.
Wow.
They're in jail.
Yep. That'll happen.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's all things like that, dumb things that you should not be doing. And, once you expose that and once you start looking at your P&Ls and balance sheet, it'll go, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to make sure my bookkeeper understands what they're doing. But one of the things is that bookkeepers never sign checks. Even if your bookkeeper is your wife, you still have to take it. I had a situation where Dad sold the business to 3 siblings, two guys, 2 brothers and a sister, and the sister got hooked on drugs and she tried to drain the checking account.
Oof.
It's like,
there literally needs to be checks and balances.
Yes. And all the checks and balances that you do, the weekly communications report, the project meetings, everything else along those lines are really helping you make sure that you can make accurate financial decisions. And they really and truly are.
Yep. So it sounds like this book, so a business owner can come in and, 101, not all 101 may not pertain to them, right? But it sounds like it'll be like, oh, that's me. Oh, crap. I never thought about that, right? It's one of those, and then, maybe they pull out 20 out of the 101 and it benefits them.
And fixes them so that they don't do them anymore. I mean, I am one person. My goal is to spread the wealth, spread the knowledge so that everybody has accurate financial statements and can make really good business decisions. Profitability, build the wealth, make your goals, give back.
Yeah. Well, I think the other important part of this is that when if you get a handle on your financial efficiency, you're actually able to invest better back into your business to be better at what you do and in turn become even more profitable.
Yep. And build more wealth and give back. We talk about giving back to nonprofits, but we also, one of the bonus structures that's in the book actually is not sharing the wealth is the mistake. And I give everybody a bonus structure on how to bonus managers and how to bonus actual employees who are not managers. And, my feeling is they help you generate the profits. They really and truly should get a piece of them. I mean, it's not this, huge piece. It's a little bitty piece. But, say thank you for the work that they did that allows you to make the profits. And the interesting thing about that is when they understand profitability, they're on your back to make sure that the jobs are profitable, to make sure that the time is profitable. And I've also found, which something I didn't expect, is that if they have somebody who's there who's, not productive, they'll kick them out. You don't have to, which I found interesting.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Marlise, before I ask the standard last question, is there anything else that you wanted to ask Ruth?
No, it was very clear and very interesting story.
Yeah, those are some fantastic stories. So Ruth, at the end of every episode, we ask the same question to every single one of our guests, is that do you have your own personal motto that you live by, or is there a motto that you've heard that you find extremely interesting?
Mine is my goal in life, well, actually my mission statement or my passion is to give business owners the tools, the processes to get and stay profitable, build wealth, and give back. And that's what I live by.
I like that. And I love the give back part of it, right? I think that's extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for taking the time in enlightening us and sharing with us all of your experiences and the stories about the organizations that you've helped. We've really enjoyed having you on the show. Everybody listening, everybody watching, thanks so much for tuning in and checking us out wherever you watch or listen to the podcasts. Until next time, everybody, stay connected.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Connected Construction Show. For more information, visit us at connectedconstructionshow.com.